Early one morning, as Kevin stepped onto his porch to greet the new day, he was met with an unexpected sight: a dog tied to his railing. The dog seemed very upset and anxious, and it started whining as soon as Kevin approached. He couldn't help but wonder whose dog this was and how it ended up on his porch, but then he noticed a note was attached to its collar. His eyes widened as he read it. Immediately after reading the note, Kevin turned completely pale with shock and dialed 911 with trembling hands. Kevin held his breath as he listened to the beeps in his phone, desperate for someone to pick up. "Come on, hurry up already," he whispered, aware of the fact that there was no time to lose. The dog seemed to sense his distress because it started whining even louder now. Kevin was determined to help the poor animal, but he had no idea what he was getting himself into. When someone finally answered the phone, Kevin immediately exclaimed, "Please, I need your help." He quickly explained what was going on and shared his address, and he let out a sigh of relief when the dispatcher told him an officer was on his way. He gently petted the dog as he whispered, "It's going to be okay. I promise. We will find them." Moments later, Officer Stanley arrived at Kevin's house. His eyes widened as he read the note, and he admitted, "I thought this was some kind of prank call." He thanked Kevin for calling and promised that he would get to the bottom of this. But what was written on the note? Why was Kevin so shocked? And what happened to the dog's owner? Officer Stanley took a picture of the note as well as the dog, and he wrote down Kevin's phone number. "I'll be in touch as soon as I find something," he promised, and he left. Kevin had agreed to care for the dog, whose name turned out to be Lily, and he decided the first thing he needed to do was make her feel comfortable in his home. Indeed, this was only the beginning. He carefully reached out his hand and petted Lily's head. She was now softly whining and shivering a little bit, and Kevin tried to calm her down by gently stroking her and telling her everything was going to be okay. She still seemed frightened, but he took her leash and gently guided her into his backyard, and she followed him without any hesitation. As Kevin watched Lily sniffing around in his garden, he couldn't help but wonder, whose dog was this? Based on the note, it seemed like whoever the owner was, they had thought about leaving Lily here for a while, and they were in a horrible situation, perhaps even a dangerous one. But why did they choose him? He had never seen Lily in the neighborhood before. He was sure of that. He had so many questions. After some time, he guided Lily into his home and locked her up in one of the rooms while he went out to buy her some food and toys. He didn't feel great about locking her up, but he didn't know how she would behave in his house alone, and he didn't want to take any risks. Luckily, when he returned, she was calmly laying on the floor, and she hadn't made a mess at all. "Come here, girl. You must be hungry," Kevin said as he filled a bowl with dog food. And he was right about that. Lily jumped up and practically inhaled the food, barely even taking any time to chew. She didn't look very skinny or underweight to him, but she ate like she was starving. Kevin decided to take her to the vet while he waited for news from the police. He had called a local vet, Dr. Dunn, and he was relieved to hear that he could come by with Lily right away. They left immediately, but for some reason the dog didn't want to get in the car. Kevin tried so many things, but no matter what he did, she refused. In the end, he just picked her up and gently placed her inside, and he got behind the wheel. Lily was whining the whole drive, but luckily, the vet's office wasn't far away from Kevin's home. "Thank you so much for squeezing us in, Doctor," he said, as he shook Dr. Dunn's hand and followed her into the examination room. "Don't worry about it," the vet told him with a smile as she approached Lily, speaking gentle words to her to make her feel at ease. Dr. Dunn examined Lily carefully, checking her physical health and behavior. She gently lifted Lily's paws, inspected her eyes and ears, and ran her hands over the dog's coat. "She looks well cared for," Dr. Dunn commented. Kevin watched closely, hoping for some clue about Lily's situation. "Any signs of illness or injury?" he asked, his concern evident in his voice. After a thorough examination, Dr. Dunn smiled and said, "Lily is in perfect health. No signs of illness or injury at all." Kevin felt a wave of relief. "That's great to hear," he said, patting Lily on the head. "But it makes me wonder even more why she was abandoned." Dr. Dunn nodded, puzzled herself. "It's unusual for someone to leave a healthy dog like this," she remarked thoughtfully. Kevin was relieved, but puzzled about why Lily had been abandoned on his porch. He couldn't shake the questions swirling in his mind. "Why would someone leave a perfectly healthy dog?" he muttered. Dr. Dunn looked at him with a curious expression. "It's definitely odd. Healthy dogs usually have owners who care for them." Kevin sighed, feeling more determined to uncover the truth. Dr. Dunn expressed confusion about why someone would leave a healthy dog tied up. "I've seen many cases of abandonment, but this one is unique," she said. "Healthy dogs usually have owners who care for them." Kevin nodded, deep in thought. "I can't imagine what circumstances would lead someone to do this," he said. The vet agreed, still perplexed by the situation. "It's a mystery, for sure." Kevin thanked Dr. Dunn and decided to investigate further. "Thanks for your help, Doc. I really appreciate it," he said as he shook her hand. "No problem, Kevin. Good luck finding out what happened," she replied. As Kevin and Lily left the vet's office, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was determined to get to the bottom of this mystery and find out who had left Lily on his porch. Kevin and Lily returned home, deciding to take a walk in the local park. "You need some fresh air?" Kevin said, clipping the leash onto Lily's collar. The dog wagged her tail, seemingly excited for the outing. They strolled down the quiet streets, enjoying the morning breeze. Kevin hoped the walk might clear his mind and perhaps lead to some answers about Lily's mysterious arrival. As they walked, an unfamiliar person approached them. "Excuse me, is that Olivia's dog?" the stranger asked, pointing at Lily. Kevin's heart skipped a beat. "Olivia? I found her tied to my porch," he replied, confused. The person looked worried but didn't elaborate. "Just wondering. Take care," they said before walking away quickly. Kevin watched them go, puzzled by the brief encounter. Kevin inquired further, confused by the stranger's abrupt departure. "Wait, who's Olivia?" he called after them, but they were already too far away. Lily barked, sensing his frustration. Kevin sighed, feeling more determined to solve the mystery. He decided to call the police again, hoping they might have more information. He pulled out his phone and dialed Officer Stanley's number, explaining the encounter. Puzzled, Kevin called the police to report the encounter and mentioned the name Olivia. "Officer Stanley, someone just asked if Lily was Olivia's dog. Do you know who that is?" he asked. The officer listened intently. "Thanks for the update, Kevin. We'll look into it," Stanley replied. Kevin hung up, feeling a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Would the police recognize the name and provide some answers? He hoped the police might recognize the name and provide some answers. As he walked back home with Lily, his mind raced with possibilities. Who was Olivia, and why was Lily left on his porch? Kevin glanced at Lily, who seemed happier now. "Don't worry, girl. We'll figure this out," he said softly. Once home, he prepared dinner, still mulling over the day's events, hoping for a breakthrough. Officer Stanley thanked Kevin for the information and confirmed that Lily belonged to Olivia. "We got some background info. Lily is Olivia's dog," Stanley said over the phone. Kevin felt a mix of relief and concern. So she really does belong to someone. But why was she left with me? Kevin wondered aloud. "We're trying to figure that out," Stanley replied, his tone serious. Stanley revealed they had found traces of Olivia, but hadn't located her. "We found some of Olivia's belongings and her last known location, but no sign of her yet," Stanley said. Kevin's heart sank. "So she's missing?" he asked, worried. "We're not sure yet. We're investigating all leads," Stanley reassured him. Kevin nodded, feeling a growing sense of responsibility for Lily and Olivia. Kevin reread the note attached to Lily's collar, seeking hidden clues. "Maybe I missed something," he muttered, unfolding the paper. The note read, "Please take care of Lily. I had no choice." Kevin frowned, scrutinizing every word. No choice for what? He wondered. Despite his careful inspection, the note offered no new insights, leaving him frustrated and even more determined to find out what happened. Olivia might be in danger. Kevin worried about her safety. What if she's in trouble? He said to himself, pacing the room. Lily watched him, her eyes full of trust. Kevin sighed, feeling the weight of the situation. I can't just sit here, he decided. He needed to help, but he wasn't sure how. The unanswered questions gnawed at him, making it hard to relax. Kevin and Lily settled down for the night, with Lily sleeping in his bedroom. Come on, girl, let's get some rest, he said, patting the bed. Lily jumped up, curling into a ball. Kevin lay down, his mind racing with thoughts about Olivia. We'll figure this out, he whispered, more to himself than to Lily. As he drifted off to sleep, he hoped tomorrow would bring answers. Kevin awoke to loud banging on his door the next morning. He jolted upright, his heart racing. Who could that be? He muttered, quickly getting out of bed. Lily barked, sensing his alarm. As he made his way to the door, the banging grew louder and more urgent. I'm coming, Kevin shouted, wondering who would be so desperate to see him this early. He saw an unfamiliar man demanding to take back his dog. Give me my dog, the man yelled, his face twisted with anger. Kevin stood in the doorway, blocking his path. Who are you? He asked, trying to stay calm. The man pointed at Lily. That's my dog. Hand her over. Kevin glanced back at Lily, who was growling softly. Something didn't feel right. The man mentioned Lily's name, hinting at a connection. Lily, come here, he called, his voice softer now. Lily hesitated, but stayed close to Kevin. How do you know her name? Kevin asked, suspicious. The man glared at him. Of course I know her name. She's mine, he snapped. Kevin's mind raced. If this man knew Lily's name, there must be more to the story. Kevin questioned the man about how Lily ended up on his porch. If she's yours, why was she tied to my porch with a note? He demanded. The man looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. That's none of your business, he replied curtly. Kevin didn't back down. It is my business. I found her. Now, explain, he insisted, trying to make sense of the situation. Lily. The man claimed ignorance and insisted on taking Lily. I don't know how she got there, but I need her back, he said, reaching out. Kevin stepped in front of Lily protectively. Not until I get some answers, he said firmly. The man's eyes narrowed. You're making a big mistake, he warned. Kevin stood his ground, determined to protect Lily until he knew the truth. Kevin mentioned Olivia, causing the man to become angry and start yelling. What do you know about Olivia? The man shouted, his face turning red. Kevin held his ground. I found a note with her name, he explained. The man clenched his fists. Olivia is nothing but trouble, he yelled, his voice echoing through the quiet morning. Lily barked, sensing the tension. Olivia. The man accused Olivia of being untrustworthy, confusing Kevin. She can't be trusted, he spat, glaring at Kevin. Kevin frowned, trying to piece everything together. Why would she leave Lily with me if she's untrustworthy? He asked. The man's anger flared again. You wouldn't understand, he snapped. Kevin felt more confused than ever, but knew he needed more information to make sense of it all. Kevin asked for more information to relay to the police. I need to know what's going on, he insisted. The man looked nervous. Why do the police need to be involved? He asked, avoiding eye contact. Kevin crossed his arms. Because this is serious. Olivia could be in danger, he said firmly. The man's eyes widened with fear, but he remained silent, refusing to answer further. The man froze upon hearing about the police involvement and quickly left. I can't deal with this, he muttered, before turning on his heel and rushing away. Kevin watched him go, bewildered. Wait, he called, but the man didn't look back. Kevin felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. Something was definitely wrong, and he needed to act fast to protect Lily and find Olivia. Kevin immediately called Officer Stanley, suspecting the man was linked to Olivia's disappearance. Officer Stanley, the man who came for Lily, just ran off when I mentioned the police, Kevin said urgently. Stanley's tone grew serious. Describe him to me. This could be a breakthrough, he replied. Kevin nodded, ready to provide every detail he could remember, hoping it would help find Olivia and uncover the truth. Officer Stanley requested a detailed description of the man from Kevin. I need you to describe the man as best as you can, Stanley said over the phone. Kevin closed his eyes, trying to recall every detail. He was tall, around 6 feet, with short dark hair and a scar on his left cheek, Kevin began. Stanley listened intently, jotting down notes. Kevin described the man as best as he could. He had a rough voice like he was used to yelling, Kevin added. And he seemed really desperate, almost scared. Stanley nodded on the other end. That's helpful. Anything else you remember? Kevin thought hard. He was wearing a leather jacket, looked pretty worn out, he said. Stanley thanked him and promised to follow up. Stanley contacted Olivia's sister, Kate, and informed her about the situation. We need to talk about Olivia, he said gently. Kate's voice trembled. What's happened? Is she okay? She asked. Stanley explained the situation with Lily and the mysterious man. Can you come down to the station? We need your help, he said. Kate agreed, sounding both worried and determined. Kate was shocked to learn Olivia had left Lily and agreed to meet Stanley. I can't believe Olivia would just leave Lily like that, she said, her voice shaky. Stanley reassured her. We're doing everything we can to find her, he promised. Kate took a deep breath. I'll be there as soon as I can, she said, ending the call with a sense of urgency. Stanley awaited Kate's arrival, hoping for more insights. He reviewed his notes, thinking about the clues they had so far. This case is getting more complicated by the minute, he muttered to himself. He hoped Kate could provide some crucial information to help them find Olivia. As he waited, he felt a growing sense of anticipation and urgency. Kate arrived at the police station and showed Stanley a picture of a man. This is Darren, our estranged brother, she said, handing him the photo. Stanley examined it closely. He matches the description Kevin gave, Stanley noted. Kate looked worried. Darren has always been unpredictable. I can't believe he's involved in this. Stanley nodded, feeling the pieces of the puzzle starting to fit together. Stanley sent the photo to Kevin for identification. Is this the man who came to your house? He texted along with the image. Kevin's response was swift. Yes, that's him, he replied. Stanley felt a mix of relief and concern. All right, thanks for confirming, he replied to Kevin. With this identification, the case took a new direction, focusing on Darren's involvement. Kevin confirmed the man in the photo was the one who had demanded Lily. That's definitely him, Kevin texted back. Stanley shared the confirmation with Kate, who sighed deeply. This is bad. Darren and Olivia haven't spoken in years, she said, her voice filled with worry. Stanley nodded. We need to understand his role in this, he said, preparing for the next steps. Kate revealed the man was Darren, her and Olivia's estranged brother. He had a falling out with Olivia a long time ago, Kate explained. They haven't been in touch since. Stanley listened carefully, noting every detail. Do you think Darren would harm Olivia? He asked. Kate shook her head, unsure. I don't know, but their relationship was always rocky, she admitted, frowning. Stanley and Kate discussed Darren's possible involvement in Olivia's situation. We need to find out what Darren's been up to, Stanley said. Kate nodded, her worry evident. I can't believe he's back in our lives like this, she said. He always had a temper. Stanley took notes, considering the next steps. I'll dig into Darren's background. We need to know what we're dealing with, he assured her. Kate explained the strained relationship between the siblings. Darren and Olivia never got along, she said. They fought constantly, especially after our parents passed away. Stanley listened carefully. What were the fights about? He asked. Kate sighed. Mostly about responsibilities and money. Darren always felt he was entitled to more. Stanley nodded, making notes. This could be a motive, he thought. Olivia. She admitted she knew little about Olivia's recent activities, but she knew she loved Lily more than anything. Olivia and I haven't talked much lately, Kate confessed. But I know she adored Lily. She'd never leave her unless something was really wrong. Stanley looked at her, understanding the gravity of the situation. This makes Olivia's disappearance even more concerning, he said. Stanley showed Kate the note from Lily's collar. Kate read it carefully, her eyes widening with worry. Please take care of Lily. I had no choice, she read aloud. This sounds desperate, she said, looking at Stanley. Do you recognize the handwriting? He asked. Kate shook her head. No, but it's definitely Olivia's style to leave a note like this, she said. Kate explained that Darren had originally owned Lily before Olivia took her. Darren got Lily as a puppy, but he couldn't take care of her, Kate said. Olivia stepped in and took Lily when she realized Darren wasn't responsible enough. Stanley nodded, understanding more of the family dynamics. So, Darren might have felt some attachment to Lily, he said, pondering the implications. Uncertain if Darren posed a threat, Stanley decided to investigate further. We need to know if Darren's involvement is a danger to Olivia, he said. Kate nodded, her face lined with worry. I hope this isn't as bad as it seems, she said quietly. Stanley reassured her. We'll find out the truth. I'll dig deeper into Darren's background and his recent activities, he promised. Stanley discovered Darren had connections to dangerous individuals. While digging through Darren's background, he found links to known criminals. This doesn't look good, he muttered, piecing together the information. The connections hinted at a web of trouble Darren was entangled in. Stanley realized that Darren's involvement might be more serious than they initially thought, making Olivia's disappearance even more concerning. He learned Darren owed debts to some criminal associates. Stanley's investigation revealed that Darren was in deep financial trouble, owing significant amounts to dangerous people. This could explain a lot, Stanley thought. The debts might have driven Darren to desperate measures, possibly involving Olivia. Stanley knew he had to act quickly to uncover the full extent of Darren's actions and their impact on Olivia. Stanley tracked Darren down and brought him in for questioning. Using the information he gathered, Stanley located Darren's hideout. Darren, we need to talk, Stanley said firmly as he handcuffed him. Darren looked defiant but didn't resist. Back at the station, Stanley hoped to get some answers. Let's see what you have to say, he thought, preparing for the interrogation. Darren refused to cooperate during the interrogation. I don't know anything about Olivia, he insisted, crossing his arms defiantly. Stanley leaned in, his voice calm but firm. We know about your debts and connections. This is your chance to come clean. Darren's jaw tightened, but he remained silent. Stanley sighed, realizing they needed another approach to break Darren's resistance. Stanley called Kevin, requesting he bring Lily to the station. We need to try something different, he explained. Kevin agreed, sensing the urgency. I'll bring her right away, he said, grabbing Lily's leash. As they headed to the station, Kevin hoped Lily's presence might spark something in Darren. Maybe this will help us find Olivia, he thought, determined to do whatever it took. Kevin brought Lily to the police station as requested. We're here, he said to Stanley, holding Lily's leash tightly. Lily wagged her tail, sensing the tension but remaining calm. Stanley nodded. Let's see if this works, he said, leading them to the interrogation room. Kevin hoped this would be the breakthrough they needed to find Olivia and understand Darren's involvement. Upon seeing Lily, Darren broke down in tears. Lily, he whispered, his tough exterior crumbling. He sank into his chair, covering his face with his hands. Stanley watched closely. Why the tears, Darren? He asked gently. Darren looked up, eyes red and filled with regret. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. Darren confessed to blackmailing Olivia for money. I was desperate, he admitted, tears streaming down his face. I thought I could scare her into helping me pay off my debts. Stanley listened intently. Why target Olivia? He asked. Darren sighed deeply. She was always the responsible one. I knew she'd do anything for Lily, he explained, guilt evident in his voice. He admitted his anger towards Olivia for taking Lily from him. I was furious when she took Lily, Darren said, wiping his eyes. I felt like she was trying to control everything, even my dog. Stanley nodded, understanding more of the family dynamics. But you knew she was right to take care of Lily? He asked. Darren nodded slowly. Yeah, I did. I just couldn't accept it, he confessed. Darren revealed he knew Lily was better off with Olivia despite his actions. I knew she could give Lily a better home, he said quietly. I just didn't want to admit I failed. Stanley looked at him sympathetically. It's never too late to make things right, he said. Darren nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. I want to try, he replied, determined to fix his mistakes. Darren expressed regret and apologized to his sisters. I'm sorry for everything, he said, tears in his eyes. Olivia and Kate listened, their expressions softening. I made so many mistakes and I hurt you both, Darren continued. Olivia stepped forward. We can move past this, she said gently. Kate nodded. We just need to work together, she added. Darren felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Olivia returned from hiding and reclaimed Lily. Lily, she cried, hugging the dog tightly. Lily wagged her tail, clearly happy to be reunited. Kevin watched, feeling relieved. Thank you for taking care of her, Olivia said to Kevin, her eyes filled with gratitude. Kevin smiled. I'm just glad she's safe, he replied. Olivia's return brought a sense of closure to everyone involved. Olivia, Kate, and Darren decided to rebuild their fractured relationship. We've been through so much, Kate said, but it's time to start fresh. Olivia agreed. We can support each other from now on, she said. Darren nodded, determined to make amends. I want to be a better brother, he said. The three siblings embraced, feeling hopeful about their future together. Olivia explained she left Lily with Kevin because she had seen him while walking Lily a few times and thought he looked trustworthy. I noticed you always seemed kind to your dog, she said. I felt you would take good care of Lily. Kevin smiled. I'm glad you did, he said. Olivia nodded. You helped more than you know, she said, her voice full of gratitude. She and Kevin began spending more time together. They took Lily on walks and shared stories about their lives. It's funny how things turned out, Kevin said one evening. Olivia smiled. Yeah, who would have thought a dog on a porch would lead to this, she replied. Their bond grew stronger, and both felt grateful for the unexpected connection Lily had brought into their lives. Olivia and Kevin eventually started dating. Their connection grew stronger with each passing day. They enjoyed simple moments together, like cooking dinner or watching movies with Lily curled up between them. I never expected this, Kevin admitted one night. Olivia smiled, holding his hand. Neither did I, but I'm glad it happened, she said. Their relationship blossomed, built on trust, understanding, and the bond they shared over Lily. Kevin felt grateful for the unexpected turn his life had taken with Lily's arrival. She changed everything, he often told Olivia. Reflecting on the journey, he realized how much richer his life had become. I never thought finding a dog on my porch would lead to all this, he said, smiling at Lily. Olivia nodded. It's amazing how life works, she said. Together, they embraced the beautiful future ahead.